Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube page. I'll be previewing every game here of Week 15 in the NFL, so be sure to subscribe to my YouTube page here or catch me on Twitter at SNewsAnalysis. That's at SNewsAnalysis. The Bills will host the Seahawks in their annual Toronto game this week, north of the border. Again, this is a game where I don't really understand why it's played, why they take a home game away from those fiercely loyal Bills fans, but it's a decision that the Bills made some years back here, and again, I think it's wrong. But nonetheless, the Seahawks come into this game with a record of 8-5, firmly in that first wild card position in the NFC, and only 1.5 games behind the 49ers in the division. So definitely a lot at stake for the Seahawks in this game. The Bills kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum, just kind of playing out the string here. They come in with a record of 4-9. I think much was expected of this team, as we'll get into a little bit later, and they've definitely fallen short of those expectations this season. As far as the Seahawks go, 1.5 games behind the 49ers in the division, and until you're eliminated from the division, that's where your focus has to be, because if you can take care of business in the division, that takes care of everything else, basically. And the Seahawks have a game with the 49ers on the horizon, and if I'm the Seahawks coaching staff, I'm letting my team know, look, the 49ers game is coming. We'll play in that game at home. We have a lot of, we'll be all pumped up for that game, but we need to take care of business here first against a team that we should beat. Because if they don't beat the Bills this week, that game against the 49ers becomes a lot less important. So look for the Seahawks to come out focused. What I want to see from the Seahawks this week is, a couple weeks ago they played on the road. They had a big road win in Chicago. And that showed us, one, that they can win on the road, and two, that Russell Wilson came up big in a big spot against a team that's probably equal to them on the road. I think that was very important to see. They're 2-5 on the road now, so I'm not going to get too crazy about how good they are on the road yet. That's why I think this is an even bigger game for the Seahawks in a big picture point of view. How do they come out and play on the road now after an exciting win versus the Bears, after a thrashing of the Cardinals last week? How do they come out and respond now and handle the success that they've had? I think that would be interesting to see here as we sort of head into this game. Marshawn Lynch returning, playing against his old team, a team that pretty much gave up on him. How does he react? How does he respond? Does he come out with added motivation? Because if he does, that Bills defense might be in for it this week. As far as the Bills go, the Bills come in with a record of 4-9. They made a lot of high-priced free agent acquisitions in the offseason, most notably on defense, and they've just fallen short of expectations, to put it plain and simple. This was a team that many pundits had as the first or second wild card in the AFC, and right from the first week, look back, they let up 48 points to the Jets, and looking back on that, knowing what we know now about the Jets, how awful is that? So it's taken their defense a little bit longer to gel than I think people thought. Their defense is starting to play a little bit better here the last month. One thing I think you're seeing with the Bills so far this season is that they may have made a big mistake signing Ryan Fitzpatrick to that extension last year. He got the same money that Tony Romo got when he got his contract, that Drew Brees got when he first went to New Orleans. And look, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I know he's a nice guy, probably a nice guy, went to Stanford, smart guy, but he is not a franchise quarterback. And to stake that much money and that many years to him, it was obviously a huge mistake. But the Bills are sort of stuck with him now, at least for the next couple of years. So we'll see how that situation goes. Do they draft a quarterback to groom under him? Again, a situation worth monitoring, but he is certainly not what you need from a franchise quarterback. The running back situation in Buffalo sort of baffles me. I know Fred Jackson's not going to play. Fred Jackson's not going to play this week, so this is not really going to be an issue this week. But when it seems like whenever C.J. Spiller gets the opportunity to do something, he produces. And I think it's going to be good for the Bills this week that the focal point will be around him. I'm not saying Fred Jackson shouldn't be involved at all, but I'm saying C.J. Spiller should be the one, and I think he's earned the right to get the majority of the carries. This is a guy that they spent the top 10 pick on. Let's see what the guy can do, not just in spurts, not just 7 to 9 carries a game. Let's give him a game where he has 15, 20 carries. Let's see what he can really do. Let's unleash him. And I think you'll see that this week, and I think that will actually be to the Bills' advantage. The spread in this game is 5.5, so it's Seahawks minus 5.5 on what's a pseudo road neutral site game here in Toronto. I think the Bills keep this game closer than people think. I think the Seahawks win the game outright, but I think the Bills keep it close enough. So I like the Bills plus 5.5 up in Toronto versus the Seahawks this week. But I like the Seahawks to win outright, go to 9-5, and set up that their all important last 2 games here to see if they can win the division. They still have even an outside shot possibility of getting a first or second seed in the NFC. So a lot to be determined here for the Seahawks coming down the stretch. But as far as this game goes, Bills plus 5.5, Seahawks to win the game outright. As always, let me know what you think in the YouTube comments here. Hit me up on Twitter at SNewsAnalysis. Thanks, guys.